Well, good evening, everybody, and happy Friday. Welcome to the Just Jump In live stream. So let me know if you're out there. I apologize. There was no intro music or anything, or pre-go live screen or anything like that. The new company that bought StreamYard is slowly the features for the free plan. I think they're going to try and price everybody out of the free plan at some point. But now you can have one screen, and that's just that countdown screen that came from them. So I can't do any pre-show type of stuff. So that'll be interesting. A lot of people are looking at other live stream platforms at this point because of that. And so, I mean, if I can't be fully featured on here, and I certainly can't afford to pay any plan, I'm not going to be able to use StreamYard at some point. So I think, like everybody else, I'll start looking at other live stream platforms. And if anybody else uses other live stream platforms, feel free to shout them out so I can take a look at those. But welcome, everybody. Appreciate you coming in. Split Rock, you get the cookie. Thanks for coming in tonight. Gopher Girl, it looks like you woke up from your nap. And Mom, hello. Appreciate you being here. And Tim, also, hello to you. So anyway, so tirade over. So happy birthday, America. I figured I would still jump on tonight because I figured I have some folks that are not American, aren't celebrating America's birthday. I figured there are a few people out there not so happy with their America right now and are not celebrating their birthday. So I figured it would be good to go online and have have a discussion about hobbies instead, whatever that may be. Give you an update as to where I'm at. I really want to have. I really like the tank, the front look of it. I have it on my hobby desk now, so it's off to the side. I wish I could just have it here so that it was easy to see, but with the camera setup, not so easy. But that gets me psyched to do some hobby stuff. Anyway, so let me know that you can hear me so that I'm not just rambling on and talking to myself, because I sure don't want to hear from myself about myself or anything like that. But with that being said, I'll get back into talking about where I am with the gondola. So if you remember, this gondola build is 3D printed, and it's based on the flat car that I did, basically with sides and ends for a gondola, and it's based on a New Jersey Transit gondola as well. And this is the last one I showed you. There's much more work on the bottom that needed to be done, and some detailing. We seem to have gotten the side beams on here right. Hey, Mike, Rail Artist, welcome in. Nice to have you in here. I hope you and your wife are doing well. So that's where we left off. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm printing as I go with all the different steps to test out what it looks like. I'm so visual that looking at the Onshape program, it looks fantastic on there, but it doesn't necessarily translate. The other thing too is I'm getting much better prints with the detail with the let me give some, probably be best if I had some light in here. Let's adjust that. I'm getting much better detail with the O2 nozzle with smaller layer lines. And each time I run into maybe something good happens, then I run into a problem. And of course, I did not bring up the flat car to show you the underside, but on the underside, there's additional cross beams. There's channel used, and then you have the long beams on here, which I had trouble with on when I did it with styrene. So let's see. Well, let's start with this mouse. This was the next print I did. And I just wanted to see what the layer lines would look like, and they don't look any better. And it's not going to show up on camera here. So Mike says the audio is kind of jumbly tonight. Can anybody else confirm that? They're jumpy. Okay. Let's just see if it's a signal. It could be our internet signal. Let's see if I have some options here. I can connect to that. So, okay. So we'll try the next one. I've got 3 options. We'll see how that comes out. This is not jumbly. This is a mess. So I tried having it angled because that's one of the ways you can have it if it's supported well. I haven't had a lot of success with that, and you can see I have no success really. I didn't have any success with it. So it pays to test these different things when you're doing. You can even, I don't know if you can see that. I can see that the video is kind of jumbly too. I wonder if it is StreamYard, but it even came out like rounded. So that was a mess. So I stopped that. I didn't continue that one on, but I didn't realize if it got that bad, so I let it go for a while. So the next thing I wanted to do was do those long beams, the support ones on here. And so I did create those. And you can see that I had another problem with the printing. And this was problems with the printer and the filament and all of that. That were, that had nothing to do with the design. So I simply kept that to show you. And then, I jumped ahead. So I printed this one, and I wanted to test the ends, especially if it's jumbly. It's going to be hard to see. Let's see if you can see my hand. You can see this is 025 wire. I wanted to make sure the slits in there worked. So when you're putting all the brake stuff in, and they do, I did have to adjust this one. This one I had to make this one a little bit thicker or a little bit larger of a hole. So let's see. You can see that. All right. So anyway, so it did come through. So it's going to be much easier to string than trying to drill holes. These holes also that I showed one of the other times all work too. So I'll be able to, so you can see, maybe you can see on this side, and The other thing that's really annoying me right now is this is mirrored for some reason. Let's see if, there we go. Now I'm a little more coordinated that way. But those holes held up well. And so all of that worked. And then I went ahead and worked on the cross beams. So I printed it again. And here we are. It printed successfully. So we're moving on from that. And so this is, so my flat car that I built has just one of these going across. That's only how I could fit them in, but with 3D modeling, I was able to fit it in the way the clinic went. Now, these are supposed to be L-shaped beams, and these barely are. Even though they were designed the exact size of the styrene, they didn't print that way. I don't know how much finer detail I can get to have them print that way, but essentially it did what it was supposed to do. So I went ahead to print again to see if the channel cross beams came out. And I was trying, so normally I've been printing with this side up because there's less support you need, but it was going to make all this support really choppy. Now this came out really choppy, and I ended up printing this with the 04 nozzle, the larger nozzle. So I don't think that really helped this along. On the ends, it's all stringy in there. This is all rough. You can sort of see the support cross beams, the channel style that it would be, but it doesn't come out very well on there. And you can also see maybe how this came out all rounded, and this side was down, which means up, because this will, when you heat up this stuff, it'll have some shrinkage to it. The other thing that's, I only got through half of removing all of these supports, and I'm having trouble removing this inside top part of the supports. So this was not a good way to do it. But I was worried about what it would look like underneath from the supports. Now, this one was supported underneath, but those supports were cut off by, and so those supports, instead of this long, big strip of supports, so these came up really easily. And so it left a bit of a rough bottom. I'm wondering if I can make the layer height on this. You can see it's opaque. You can sort of start to see some shadow and some light through it. I could make that thicker, and that might support that better, so that I can do this upside down, and it might help have the definition come out of these support beams. So that was that. Then it was time to start looking at the details. We talked about the yeah, split rock. I was thinking about that too. The other thing, so I could do that. And the other thing that you could do is then you could put the weights underneath that styrene. So you certainly can do that. And then, so then I was, I talked about, I didn't know if I was going to get all of the detail on, because when you're starting to look at the detail, we talked about those little hinges on the ends and how they weren't coming out very well. It's hard to see here. I'd have to color it a little bit, but there are, let's see if you can see there. there are rivets. So I can build the rivets on there, and I've done those to be on there. But that's about as far as the detail I was having success with. So we were looking at the we were looking at if it's still here. What did I do now? Okay. So we're looking at, this isn't the best picture, but you have some of the ladder here on the left side, or on the right side here. And then you have the ladder over here. I did attempt to build it onto the car. So I'll show you some preliminary prints that I did to show that. Let's see here. I was having difficulty with the cross beams on here, or the steps from the ladder, not really cross beams. But I did a couple of prints, and so the first one was this one. Get the ladder in there. And the supports were really part of the supports that are underneath there for the flat surface. And this was just a test build. So, you know, I don't care that that wasn't flat or anything, but I was testing this. So I can get those on there. But I wasn't able to really connect and make it look nice with the steps to the ladder. And so this was with the 4mm nozzle, and this was with the 0.4mm nozzle. This one was with the 0.2mm nozzle. In my opinion, this one came out a little bit better, but negligible. So I was trying to build the ladder the old-fashioned way with styrene and with some of the brass or the metal here. So I found I had these are 04 by 04 squares, and I was trying to glue the pieces on here, and I could not get them to sit still. I was using this little piece of tape over here, got the pieces down and separate enough, but I was having a lot of trouble getting those to stick and stay, and I only got one of three on one side to stick. So, hey Ken, welcome in. Great to have you here listening in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to over-engineer it. I'm going to actually try and build some kind of jig there where I can sit the styrene pieces in and glue the brass pieces across. This is 025. I could use the 015 phosphorus bronze, not brass. And so I might just do a jig for that to see if that could help. That's where I got with this build this week. To give you an idea of how much time, I think I'm at somewhere around 23 hours of design time, and about somewhere around 14 or 15 hours of print time. with all the printing I've done, and I've done a lot more, here's we've looked at it as I've moved along. I I think that I may have used 3/4 of a roll of filament. The filament is 1 kilogram. So I think I use somewhere around 750 to 800 grams of filament. And the roll cost $17.35 with taxes. I actually have a place locally that I don't think I need to get other filament or more expensive filament for it to work any better. But taking into consideration, I use 3/4 of that roll on all this, and that costs under $18. From a cost perspective, I'm still in good shape, and the final cart, once it's finalized and all the pieces that I would print, is not going to be that much. It's going to be really cheap to build the cars. If I want a whole bunch, I don't, but if I did, or if somebody else wanted them, I could build for them. I could see if I could scale up to S scale, down to N scale, and see if it comes out any good. So one of the reasons that was a high time for the print, I think it was this one, the successful one. Let me see. Yeah, it was this one that took 8 hours and 45 minutes to print, and that's because I used the O2 nozzle, which I made sure I used a very fine layer line. One of the disadvantages of filament printing is even as fine as you can get it, layer lines are going to come out likely when you paint it. If you use I think you could use multiple layers of primer and then maybe multiple layers of paint and get away with it. Highlight with the taco sauce, you're going to run into this. So like if I want to highlight these rivets so that you can see them, it just bled right in between those layer lines when I just put a dab of that on there. So when I've been kind of testing it out, that's been a bit of a problem. And even with these fine lines, I think that it's going to continue to be that it's going to be tough. So now there's it's between the lines, and I might be able to use mineral spirits on that and get it out of the lines and everything, but that's going to be tough. But I wonder if I use multiple layers of primer and then paint, if I'm going to be able to get away with that. So we'll have to test that theory. But with fine detail, that's where you have limitations with this type of print. Now, it doesn't seem like you have that with the prints that I've seen for on resin printers, but that's not a tool that I have right now. So So there are things that I'm going to have to do to finalize this that are going to be styrene or other things to finalize it. Let's see. I don't know if you can see. Again, it was really hard to see the detail. What would help if it was on camera? You can see a little bit of the detail and the hole there for the hinges. So that did come out a little bit, and so if you look at it up close, it looks like the 3 hinges coming together. But so that, I know a lot of people are out and about during the summer, although it was really hot. I went out today and it was just super hot today. I went out to Hobby Lobby in the area to check out what they had and what sales they had, and they had there's Master's Touch stuff, which like is their painting stuff, was on sale, but I didn't see anything that I needed. I don't need more paint or anything like that. I always check to see if their kits now are on sale. I did get a hint from a podcast, the Wiley Scale Models. They use so like this one. This one was in error. In other words, I had this actually didn't finish. You can see, I don't know if you can see that. There's some there's a divot in there where there was quality issues. I don't recall if I completely let this finish. I think I left these layer lines still left to go. But these were curling up on the ends, so you weren't going to get much out of that. So Split Rock, what I put in the on the Facebook groups was asking the question. I didn't get a lot of opinions, but Dave Hamilton, when he built his gondola off of the same clinic, he had put he used strips of the strips of rivet strips that you stick on, and he used a strip above and below that line where the flat car or where this bottom is. He used them all the way across. So I didn't know if he had a prototype that looked like that, and I honestly didn't find anything like that. So I got a few opinions, and a lot of them were to leave it alone, to look at the prototype. Now, I'm not doing it exactly like the prototype because I'm using the same beam setup as in the clinic. If I was to use the prototype, see if I can get a better picture or scroll out on this. Let's see. I think I have it. So as you can see on the prototype, it's flat all the way across. So if I was to stick to the prototype, I would actually have to figure out. I would have to even this out on these ends, and I would just have to do the ends. I wouldn't have to do anything with the beams on the inside. The other adjustment I made was I got, not only did I get the cross piece in here, I got the bolsters in, and the bolsters seem really thin, and I'm following the measurements. And so I added it in here in the middle before I put styrene on the bottom here. I actually added a block in the middle between these two beams so that when I drill into it, it's going to take, I can make sure I drill in right at that spot and make sure the screw takes to that. This one doesn't show it, but I actually made it a little bit larger in the middle there, just knowing that the screws are a little bit bigger. But I wanted to take care of that problem I was having with the flat car. So hopefully this takes care of it, and then I can make that any bit bigger that I need to in order to take the screw. And so Gopher Girl is out there already researching. She found an article, looks like, on the 9 best StreamYard alternatives in 2025. So I'll have to check that out. I really like StreamYard's ease of use, and of course, we all, that those of us that don't have the money to pay for a lot of services like this, of course, we, having it free and having it, when it wasn't completely full featured, but it was extraordinarily robust. And I can understand that they're doing other things with it. They're putting their mark on it. They're trying other ways to generate revenue because it is a business. And if too many people are taking advantage of all of the free parts of it, they're not going to necessarily profit as much. I don't know how much, the first thing that angered a lot of people, because the first thing they did was they put these packages, or they raised the price on these packages, and they had talked to their public, and they've been doing some live streams talking about people's questions, and making announcements and stuff, and their official line was that they want to generate more revenue so they can do more R&D to bring more features to more features to have a better product. And yeah, I can see that. But it was, I think it's a little rough when they weren't offering different features and they were just changing the price of the plans. And then now maybe they're offering new features that aren't going to the free people, but they're starting to slowly take away some of the flexibility you have with the free features. And I get that again, but that's counterintuitive because they're going to make money with other vendors and through other partnerships if they make it so wide and available that millions of people are using it. Anyway, I thought my rant was over, but I saw that text. So yeah, so we'll take a look at that. That would be interesting. Kind of a shared use kind of thing. Split Rock. Then you're going to have to start doing clinics on how to do the StreamYard stuff. So, yeah. So what is anybody actually working on anything? Ken, you're listening in? Are you actually working on anything tonight? Or, I'm actually shocked. I know it's still light out here where I am in Minnesota, but usually dinner time onward, we're hearing the local folks firing off, fireworks down the street, and I haven't heard anything yet. Gopher Girl, have you heard anything? I know that there was a live stream earlier, and they were talking about how it was daylight out, and it was the middle of the day, and they had people shooting off fireworks. But that's normally how I do it. That's right. You were working on the neon sign. So, what kind of What kind of electronics do you have to do with the sign, or is it just like a plug and play where you're plugging it into your layout power? Yeah. So what I'm finding, and is I'm going to have to do the same thing with, and I did that with the flat car, but I'm going to have to do that with almost all of my rolling stock. There just isn't the New Jersey Transit decals out there. There's some, I've pretty much taken up all of the ones I could find in the Twin Cities. And when I went out to Chicago, going from hobby shop to hobby shop, trying to find them, the but I'm just going to have to go by what their lettering is and just figure it out and do it letter by letter, number by number, because it's just not out there. Oh, it has its own power supply. So, when I've gone out to, the Greenberg train shows are like the world's greatest hobby type shows. They're pretty big out and they have them in New Jersey twice a year. And I've been out and I've looked, and it's hard to find stuff. Those shows, there's so much of the so much of the Lionel and larger scale. Hey Tim, you were is that the same resin boxcar kit or resin kit that you've been working on, or have you moved on to another one? It's called DVL Designs. Let's take a look. I'm assuming this is it. Hey, Colin, welcome in. You came home before the fireworks, Colin? I'll watch them on TV usually. Oh, it's another kit. Tim, where I know you came up to where I was at the modelers retreat. Where were you located? Because I don't think I saw you sitting or near stuff. I saw you walking around, obviously, but so, let's see. So is that sign? Is that one you were talking about? The sign coming off like the side of the building, or was this one that would be inside the building? Let's see if I'm probably not sharing it, am I? Let's see. I was trying to share the website with folks. So I know it can. I'm gonna have to have. Okay, there you go. So like the ones on these. the ones on these on this front page here. I need everybody who's at these events to wear their name tags and give me at least 3 shows, like 3 modelers retreats before I get the faces and the names together. Got a few, but not many. Yeah, there was some direction on there about using templates. I think here, so you can download templates. So that you can check your window width and make sure they fit in. So they got fiber optic lighting, LED lighting, power supplies. They're a bit bendy for some people. $35.95 they're showing here for these pre-made ones. Let's see here. So catalog. Just contact them for looking to see where they have the custom. Can we get an NMRA discount from them yet? Yeah, I think they would make an impression, and so hopefully, can you hopefully put up some videos of or shorts or anything of when you get it lit, and even how you put them together? It would be nice, it'd be nice to have direction on how to get them together and get them working. Oh, that's nice. It's nice that you'll have that. Yeah. So is this if this is a new business? Oh, I don't know what I just did there. Or is it let's see, then let's see an about us kind of thing. I'm just curious how big and what they charge. You can follow them on Shop, Facebook, Instagram. So I have to check them out. I have a Shop account now, and it's convenient. And now I get offers from or they promote stuff from what is it, the Spray Gunner, because I've bought from them, and they use Shop for that, for setting up the sales and everything. So those look pretty neat. So it'll I'm sure it's going to look good in the window on those. That would be cool if you could make them flicker, or if there's a way to turn off, like you see in that Thrifty Motors, if like the O in the motors goes out, and so they're bad, because you can see that, because there are, thinking back to those signs with the neon tubes would break, and you would have only part of it out. So So they sell accessories too, like the yeah. Looks like they use the what is that called? Wagyu, something like that. The um, uh, connectors, power supplies. So we have fiber optics. There's another manufacturer of fiber optics, a family that does that. They've grown now that they've gotten featured in on. I think they were featured on NMRA. They've been on other um, division clinics and things like that. They were on. I think they were on New Tracks Modeling, which is a group that I follow. And they light everything with fiber optics, and but I haven't explored that one yet. Because haven't had the stuff to do it. Let's see here. They have cutting tool, microfiber cloth, everything you need they have for you there. So what's the difference between A size signs and B size? Having that cursive come out, I think would look so neat. Alrighty. Oh, I like that open 24 hours sign. So really neat. So can't wait to see how it comes out, Split Rock. Oh, what happened to my camera now? Weird things keep happening here. Well, that's me now. Oh yeah, just got to do that. It's so weird. There's stuff. How long have you worked on it? Is it a lot of work to get it, or is it just positioning it and plugging it in? Yeah, I mean, Con, yeah, like I said, I haven't used them either. I haven't dove in. I think I would rather have, their clinic not just showing the results and things, but like them putting them together and seeing what the work effort is. I don't think it would be hard to do. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be, but what's the work effort and that sort of thing. That's I forget the name of. Let's see if we do. I just remember it's here it is. Dwarven Enterprises. So this is the one that has come up through the ranks, as they say, as a family business. And I think he was selling it to somebody as well recently, but I don't know that for sure. But he was getting older. I know that. And I think his son was involved, or his grandson was involved in it, or the whole family. Hey, look, if you subscribe to their email, you get a $10 discount on your first order over $50. First, I need over $50. But that's who the one I'm aware of is Dwarven Enterprises. Well, that's 5 more times than most people split rock. So bravo to you for reading the instructions. Let's go. Let's go back to this. Just curious what they have on their website as far as if they had any instructions on their website. They just have the templates, catalog, contact. Oh, I think I hear some fireworks outside. People are going to blow some hands off. My dad's being a pediatrician. He's kept my brother and I away from a lot of things that he finds to be not so good. And one of those is fireworks. So one day the neighbor comes running over to us. We came home from somewhere, dinner or something, and it wasn't his kid. It was somebody else in the neighborhood, but he had him in there and he had wrapped up his hand. Apparently the kid picked up an unexploded firework, and it exploded in his hand. And once I saw that, what happened to his hand, I didn't need any motivation to not play with fireworks after that. So I've never really played with them. I've played with model rockets, and those have engines in them. Those blow up all the time and stuff, but that's as far as I've taken it. I haven't okay, click on a kit. Let's see here. So they were in B sizes. Okay. Okay. So let's see. No, that's not what I want. Where did you go? Hey, Brad, welcome in. Nice to have you in here. Let's see here. You can pick your. Okay. Oh, I could see me having this in the wrong way, installing it the wrong way. I want to make sure the sign's facing outward. There's lots of words in these instructions, that's for sure. But yeah, I seal up the building after doing it, and I would find that the sign's backwards, so I have to be careful with that. Oh, where you go? Yeah. So you've only read these instructions 5 times? Still bravo for you. attachments. So I was about to sneeze there. Well, I'm sure looking forward to see what it looks like. I think the most interior I've done was the diner interior, because that had so many windows, and even with handling the windows and some of the weathering I did on it, there's still you had the bar, you had the stools, you have people in there. I put something in there that covered up where I ripped the background. I also put the Interaction Hobbies cigarette machine, the first of the two, the one that didn't come out well. I threw that in there on the side so you can, if you look real close, you could see it, or if you take off the top, you can see it. But that's the most I've done in detail. And any signs that I've done on any of my buildings have been like the paper ones. So nothing like this. I think it adds something to bring your attention to it. It just fills more detail, and I think so I think I'm sure it looks really cool. So I'll be looking forward to those shots, because I think it'll add so much to just to your layout and where you have all that detail. And I know that you have lots of operating sessions, you have operators over, and they may not be looking at it, but when you look at your layout as a whole, you have detail in different areas. So you have like about 1,000 trees, and you have lots of little details that you put in there to make that look really realistic. And you have your loading dock, which focuses on that, which just focuses on loading the ore ships. But then you have your little downtown, and that adds a different kind of character than all the wilderness and mountains that you have. So I think it'll look pretty darn cool. And I know that you switch up some of your signs and things like that. So it'll be neat to have something like that in there. Give it a little life. Ken, you have great snacks all the time. As a matter of fact, when I came to visit your layout once, I think you had sloppy joes. So I don't think I've paid much attention to your layout either. But I get it for sure. So I when I did the depot, I struggle with, should I put people there? I'd have to put I thought maybe if I could find a sleeping guy, make him look like a bum or something that was sleeping on the concrete there under the awning or whatever. I haven't done a lot of detail on the things I build, because I don't really have a kind of a layout to set them in place right now. If I get my butt moving on this, I'm working on the other aspects of the AP instead of just focusing on the cars and things, then maybe I could get some of that done. But I have to get a I have to get a I would like it to be standard, and I'd like it to be usable with Freemo, even though a lot of it will be 4-track. So I've got to get somebody to build me one. I had that lined up at one point, but I hadn't heard from the guy. And so it must have fallen through. I thought about pulling up the track I have and everything and starting to build with those, but I don't think the 2 modules I have that I built years ago are going to be exactly Freemo. But I mean, I could easily enough lay down 4 tracks on on one of the modules and just build up something and get some of the trains down. But that would be 2 foot by 4 foot, or if I use both modules, it'll be 2 foot by 8 foot module. So I mean, I could do something, but the future station is going to be the New Brunswick station. That's going to require having the module be lower to keep the track at the same height, because the track's about 15 or 20 feet up from the ground. So I got to figure all that out. I know that I'm not going to be able to build it in HO scale in my current living space. So part of that, this is the reason that I want to do modules. But, and I think I've shown this plan before. Let's see here. Let's go back to this. So this was the plan if it could be done in the current space that I have. It's about 12 by 10 space. It's kind of an open space, and so with I was hoping that I could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 modules in, but simply the curves would be just too big for 4 curves. I could try to knock the curves down to 2 curves going around and expand them out to 4 again. But to have the turnaround as using that as one of the requirements is having sometimes some type of turnaround. There's a yard for Amtrak called Sunnyside Yard past New York City, and it actually goes out to, I don't know, a lot of tracks, but I was hoping that I could get it out to, at least 3 or 4 in the middle for the facility, and then have the 2 runaround tracks that it has. And this is just my own mock-up. There's no measurement here. There's no way this would fit on, I don't know if it will even fit with a 4x4. So Colin, all of your so your current layout, that's all bench work, one set of bench work in your space. But what I could do is I certainly, I was showing you that I was prototyping the tunnel for the trains to go through, and I was contemplating, would I really want this to go low, or to have it go down a grade, to go underneath another module, because if I did New York Penn Station in here somewhere, Penn Station's below Madison Square Garden, it's below the street level, so I could do it where this goes, is angled, and goes so that there's a grade going down, or I could leave it level and have it come out and just do the scene at grade or at level on the module for Penn Station, and then mock up something above it to indicate that it's below ground. So I thought about that Colin. But what I wanted to do was be able to, I tried to build stuff and paint stuff in scale, and I was very frustrated with my own hand work with that. So I moved to HO scale. Plus, just the eyesight's been a problem with that too. So I moved to HO scale. I certainly could. I know there's one guy who put together these videos, I don't know, 10 years ago on YouTube. They were very strange videos, and the guy was very strange. But he had done Trenton Station to, I forget where, to north, and he had done it in scale, and he'd done it in his garage. So he certainly N scale, it could be done. Z scale, it could be done. And I suppose for like the electrical and civil certificates, I could do that all in N scale. But building the station, I'm having enough trouble in HO scale. I wouldn't even attempt to build the stations in N scale. But I could certainly do that. There's no reason. I mean, I got rid of a lot of stuff, but it's not all stuff that would have been prototypical of the New Jersey Transit or Northeast Corridor. There's nothing already built from a car standpoint for my era for Northeast Corridor. So that, and there's nothing in HO scale, so I accept those Horizon cars. So that's why I'm, doing all these builds, and eventually going to do one of the engines in a scratch build. But to your point, I could still do the track work in an N scale, and show that multiple trains are running on it, where you're supposed to show that and show, you're supposed to have a run around as one of your elements, or have multiple elements, have the crossovers. I could do that all in N scale, but yeah. But that's why that's kind of why I moved to HO scale, is the dexterity of when you're building stuff like Kambrowski. I don't understand how he builds that stuff in N scale. He's bigger than me. His hands are bigger than me. I don't understand how he gets all fine with that, but he does a fantastic job. So yeah. So I ended up moving to HO scale. So I still want to do it. Eventually go for girl. I, have to have hope that we're going to have our dream home, and that's going to have a Lego space and a big enough train space and a backyard for the dogs. Got to keep the dream alive for that and keep working towards that. Yeah. All right. Let's see. That is that. I can't find what I'm looking for. Never mind. I have, by the way, Colin, I don't know if it's an era thing, but if that's something you're interested in, I have one of the cars was supposed to be a contest win back when I was at 400 subscribers, but the person who won that contest never claimed the car. And it's one of my favorite cars. It's the pink box car. So if you're interested in that, I can send you a picture of it. I have not, I haven't worked out anything to scale yet. This was just a mock-up of it to see if I could fit it in the space that I have. the very least, I would like to have 3 New Jersey stations and then Penn Station. And so have it the terminus on the south end be Trenton Station, then have New Brunswick Station be the focal point because that's the one I grew up with, and then Newark, they call it Newark Penn Station, Newark, New Jersey. That's where the Prudential Center is, where the New Jersey Devils play. It's a major city. It has New Jersey Transit's home offices there, and then you have these tunnels that are they're being rebuilt like everything else is being rebuilt along lines. It drops down to 2 tunnels that go under the Hudson and into Penn Station, eventually to Grand Central and north, out of New York. So those are the main features. So the tunnel is a main feature that I wanted. A few of the stations. There's many more stations because it's a commuter rail. That would just not fit. And then I was thinking of having the yard, and there are other yards all along there. Here. Where am I love this, and I can't wait to have to use them, or not have to, but I can't wait to get to use this. If I mark these off here, if I get the right one. But this book is for engineers who are not familiar with the line and have to operate on it. And this tells you where all the signals are, tells you where they cross over. I mean, if I'm building, crossovers and things, I have that here. There are yards and things along the way. So I think it's on the next page. So you can see here, for instance, where you can't see here real close, but it's, I can see it's really straight here, at least in this depiction. It's all 4 tracks. Here's New Brunswick Station in here. So it depicts all this, tells you these signals and everything. So this is really neat to have. It does show you where it has branch lines and things like that, and where you can have crossovers. So from a planning standpoint, this is very good. And of course, I'm showing this upside down, but there's no way I'm going to be able to model Penn Station with all its tracks. So here's those North River tunnels that I was talking about. 2 tunnels come in, and then they break out into, I think, 21 total tracks in this station. And Penn Station's expanded. Next door to Penn Station in Madison Square Garden was the New York City Post Office, gigantic building. They built under that. They took over that building and built into that basically another station. And I think Amtrak is now all their trains there. And I think Penn Station has the Long Island Railroad there coming in there as well. But I mean, so this one goes out to the Long Island. This is saying goes out to the Long Island Railroad and Sunnyside Yard. And then when I was looking at, I don't think I marked it off in here. But I think Sunnyside Yard should be in here somewhere. Should be in here somewhere anyway. So I have that to go off of and to make it and that's kind of where I came up with this idea, and also looking at some videos and things like that with their run around that they have. So no, I have not drawn anything to scale at this point. There just hasn't been reason to do that. Here's see, this is so big that they had to do that. They had to do a fold out, but this is Sunnyside Yard in its large format, and so it actually has 3 tracks that go around. So definitely would have to contract that into something much smaller anyway. Yeah, Camp Nary is another one CC, so that shouldn't be in wiring. Those sorts of things shouldn't throw me off or anything. Like you said, track building. Hopefully you'll get that library started, and I can maybe steal some of the templates and some of the tools for the track building. But I get stuck on these taking a long time. I understand that there should be lots of time, but I fear death, and so it's always on my mind that I have to finish this stuff, and I can't take my time. The other thing is, I watch the rest of the Twin Cities group. Kind of, they're most of the people in the division seem to be in the mode where they're kind of past the layout building and the techniques and model building and all that, and they're really, most people in the division seem to be in the ops mode and like the ops, and so I want to get more into that, and it makes me want to get my trains on tracks and operate them. And the 2 modules I have, is I said I wanted to teach myself operations. So when I had JMRI working, I got switch lists together. I found a layout that had switching on it, and I built that with the 2 modules just to learn, or just to try. Having a trait come in, having a switcher help. There's not a lot of room on there to do that stuff. Would be much more if I built something in N scale. On there, be much more to do, but there is stuff to do on there, and so that's what I was trying to do, and I was trying to demystify it. But I hadn't used the cart cards that some people have on their layouts. Like when I went to Mike Jordan's during the operations retreat, he had the cards out, and he had the cards in the yard, and then he had the cards at the layout. I think it's it's intimidating when you're new. New to a layout, and the whole thing, I think I've over intimidated myself with it. But I think once you've operated the layout a few times, where stuff is. I think it would be easier to do and a little less stressful. But can I stress myself out thinking about like screwing up and clogging up line? And it reminds me of playing poker at a poker table, and if person next to may get mad at you for that's never been fun. So I think I've got to get over it, like your layout and Split Rock layout when other people aren't there, to demystify it for myself. and because I'm just psyching myself out on those things, and maybe that would help satisfy that piece and slow me down to do the models and stuff. Um, but that's the other reason for maybe just using my modules, because I don't run stuff on it right now. I've done all of that. I built on one end and I was going to build it on the other end, just a track extension that flips up from the module instead of building, because there wasn't quite enough room for a third module, but I could get more switching room by building out the main line another 2 feet. And I did that on one side. I hadn't done that on the other, but the one side I did it on is now filled with Lego boxes. So, so I haven't run a whole lot. I test everything on there, of course, make sure everything's. But there isn't any reason why I can't build the track, and build the components that I need to build, like a crossover or, that sort of thing. What? Uh-oh. I'm not trying to throw your. Well, I've been trying to get you to do something with those Legos because they just keep building up. They're higher than layout now. So I continue to work on stuff, but it's a little bit scatterbrained how I'm doing it. I really want to get back to building the station and things like that. So have you? Are you have you built the Switch without the tools, like the sanding tools and things like that? Have you, since you built some already, have you tried to build them without those tools, or do you use the tools still? I don't know what lap switches are, but I certainly can draw you something. I don't know how it'll help you. But yeah, so yeah, I'm shocked, Ken. I'm shocked I didn't hear from you. On the 30th, my membership expired. They still let me into the website. I was still able to log in because I'm sure it's because it takes them a while to do everything. So I was able to go in and pay for it. And I thought I had paid for it, but it was sitting in the cart. It had not gone through. So I paid for it on the 30th later in the day, but apparently at 6 a.m. I was no longer a member. So do you use the paper template to do that for the track and everything, or do you just are you at the point you have I'm sure you have gauges to make sure the track is far enough apart and everything? So we're being led by somebody who's not official. But again, I think that goes back to Ken, because Ken's our membership guy. He hasn't got the whip out yet on us. So are you building them for other people, or are you building them for your own layout? And if you're building for your own layout, are you making them not standard, I guess? So Not shocking, Ken. Hashtag blame Ken. Yep. You wanna I mean, I suppose if doing it to and you're doing it to practice, I mean, if somebody trusts you to do that, I guess that's helpful. Just to get that under your belt. Are we going to have 175-degree weather again for the picnic? That's a big park too, right? And are you going to be driving by Split Rock, or are you going to be at the picnic? Switches cost a lot. Well, I always say cost is relative. For me, switches cost a lot. How much would you say it costs to build a switch with your materials? And if you put value on your time or whatever, just how much would you say it costs for a switch if you built it? Lutefisk and Jello. That does not sound good. I hope Lutefisk is not in the Jello. So while we've been, let's see if I can pull this up. While we've been talking, well, I'm going to share the screen the right way. Let's see here if I can pull it up. So while we've been talking, I went ahead and printed another bin for paints. So I printed two of these. I mentioned this on the live stream because I was getting rid of the big plastic bins that I have for them. These are a little more compact. These actually stack on top of each other, except for I have the 2-ounce bottles of paint, so they won't do that. But I want to get rid of another one of those photo bins that I have from Michaels. And so I printed another one. I'll print another one of these at some point. They take about 4 hours to print. But that one got done and no issues with that. So that's what was going on in the background. Anyway. What kind of sander do you need for that, or what kind of sander do you use? Like an electric sander, that sort of thing. How many times have you hit your thumb with the track spike when you're trying to hit the track spikes down? Maybe you could show that, show your well, I should ask, so you design the boxes for your control panels, or is that something that you picked up that you're just printing from somebody else's design, or, you know, oh, I may have missed Ken. Have a good night, Ken. I really like the design process. That's why I'm doing the car, instead of building another one out of styrene. That's what I'm doing the car. Yeah, 3D printing it, because I really enjoy that process of building it. So, are you printing like a clear or somewhat clear or opaque top for it to put the paper designs behind it, or just wondering how you do it? I think that'd be neat if you put a video together of you making those, designing them and making them. I really would like us to do more sharing of our 3D printing design, the design piece of it and the printing piece, and show people what that's like. I haven't done any of the video of any of my prints or anything like that. But I kind of want to, because I want us to all be able to share, because I know there's more than just the few of us that go to the meetings that are in 3D printing. I know there are more out there, and I would love for people to share that. Share that process, and I'd love us to be able to goals if people were into that. I know people have different feelings about that. The program I use, Onshape, is a pay or free program. If you use it free, anybody can take your designs, anybody can modify the designs. If it's paid, you protect those claim that they made something or whatever, or they want to go make money off of it. That's fine. I'm not making money in anything I'm doing. Even my real job, I don't make that much money. So, if that's the thing for people and they insist, to do that sort of thing, I just don't care. But I do like that, and I'm willing to share with them too. But yeah, so if you want to go see my stuff, if you go to Onshape and you register with your email on there, and you can search for @DMRJ, you're gonna find my stuff on there. Done a lot of 3D design and print and building, and I'll tell you, my designs aren't the best. I know that I only know a surface amount of the CAD design software, so I probably have 75 more steps than I need for some of that building. Okay, so that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, there's so many ways. I just saw a picture from somebody who was it in the NMRA magazine. They had these pull out, almost like a drawer with the switches in the drawer, and you pull it out, and it's all the switches in there. I could swear it was NMRA magazine. I'm behind a couple of issues on there. But I thought that was a really neat idea, because then you have that the fascia is just solid, and then when you need to switch, you pull it out, and it's a space saver. And if you have narrow aisles, that's great, because then people can get by without having that obstruction. They're not breaking your switch, your switch panel or anything like that. So I thought that was a neat idea. And that was under, where is it? Oh. When we got our new phones, and now I have to find everything. Didn't have to before. Everything was in its place. Forget which, like I said, I'm behind, so I forget which one it is. Probably never find it. Now that I don't want to find it. So go to contents. It's South Oakland. Oh yeah. So I don't know if we can see it real well on here. I don't know if I can. Oh, I can't put it here. Here you go. So it's this drawer that opens up, and then you just have the switches on a flat surface, and you just switch what you need to switch. It looks like those are push buttons, but that's pretty neat idea, I thought. Okay, well, I can certainly hear the fireworks. They're pretty much consistent now out there. I'm sure everybody's been hanging out, rambling with me for an hour and a half here, and I really appreciate that. And I hope to, I hope that everybody enjoys their long weekend. Hopefully, it's a long weekend for those that aren't retired and didn't have to work today, and have the extra days in and try something. And because you never know what you're going to enjoy out there, and just have a great rest of your weekend. Talk to you later. Bye now.